Kalispera, good evening. Before starting the presentation, I would also like to thank the organizers for inviting us to this interesting conference. And yes, as you can see in the program, and it was mentioned, Professor Giordano Altarozzi is the co-author of this research. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here for personal reasons. So, as the title suggests, our paper investigates the evolution of Turkey's Levantine community, especially Istanbul's Levantine community, in the early Republican period. The methodology we used is primarily qualitative, as you can see on the slides. So we analyzed the archives of the correspondence found in the archives of the Apostolic Vicariate of Istanbul and the laws adopted by the newly born republic. We also use quantitative methods, respectively the baptism and burial records of the Church of Saints Peter and Paul and the Cathedral of the Holy Spirit in Istanbul. We would like to thank also Dr. Rinaldo Marmara, because he was the one who facilitated our access to the sources. And we believe that the rough analysis of these sources together can provide us with a clearer picture of what meant to be a Levantine in the first decades of Republican Turkey. So, as we have seen during these 2 days, it is definitely not an easy task to define who a Levantine is or was, since the concept carries different meanings in different contexts. We have actually two distinct yet inseparable historical categories. The one is the Ottoman Latin community, or the successors of the Genoese, who handles the keys of the Galata Tower to Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror in 1453, and who later became Ottoman subjects. And we also have the foreigners, or the true Levantines, who initially opposed Ottoman rule, took refuge in their original countries, then returned, kept their foreign national citizenship, and became beneficiaries of the capitulations. However, in the scope of the present paper, and also due to our methodological limitations, we consider the definition of Levantine as Roman Catholics of European origin living in the late Ottoman Empire and respectively Turkey. From a historical perspective, it is known that the Jews, Armenians, and Greek Orthodox of the Ottoman Empire benefited from the so-called millet system. In other words, they had religious freedom and a certain level of autonomy, having the right to live by their own rules and laws. Yet, the Roman Catholic community was not recognized as a distinct millet. There were some attempts to unite the community, as for instance the so-called Latin Reayas community from the 1840s, which was established by Constantinople's Apostolic Vicariate. However, the diversity of the community and the fact that they were changing national statutes and relation of protection in accordance with their own interests prevented such a unity. Later, when Ottomanism was adopted, instead of ensuring the equality of all Ottoman subjects, it actually positively discriminated against non-Muslims, who had even more privileges, and they were exempted from military service too. Thus, the resentments of Muslims against non-Muslims were also deepened. The situation, actually the Treaty of Sèvres, worsened the situation and the negative attitudes of Muslims towards non-Muslims by marking the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire, which was reduced to a small state in the heart of Anatolia. Even though the Treaty of Sèvres was short-lived and replaced only after 3 years by the Lausanne Treaty, it has created paranoia and fear of otherness, the ultimate others being non-Muslims who were seen both as enemies from within, conspiring against the unity of the state, and as foreign forces which want to dismember Turkey. The very concept of Azgınlık, or minority in Turkish, is founded on a mixture of memory and amnesia, of the intercommunal coexistence, and also political rivalry and conflict. And the fundamental document for the Turkish understanding of minority rights, it was and it still is the Lausanne Treaty. However, as you know, only 3 of non-Muslim minorities, respectively the Jews, the Greek Orthodox and Armenians, were officially recognized by the state as minorities, leaving thus Assyrian Christians, Protestants, and of course Roman Catholics out of legal protection. So the second part of our paper actually explores the correspondence found in the archives, as I have said. The letters actually help us understand how the laws adopted by the Turkish Republic affected the social and also religious life of the community. The archives are in a rather disorganized state. On the following slides, actually, we put some extracts from the letters so you can read them. They were originally in Latin, Italian, and French. Unfortunately, many of the documents are missing, as you can see also in the letter from the slide, because they were sent to Rome for security reasons. Since the Roman Catholic community was not recognized as an official minority by the state, of course that all the institutions, dioceses, schools, hospitals affiliated with the Catholic Church had no legal protection. So, despite this odd situation, the Catholic bishops were seen as representatives of their communities by the state, and the Catholic Church even owned properties. However, they faced high risk of expropriation, as the case cited on the slide of the Lazarite Fathers and Sisters of Charity, who risked to have their properties confiscated. There are also many letters that underline the lack of financial support as one of the main issues of the community. This letter, however, highlights actually more of the problems the community faced, and one is of course that of lack of financial support, because the Turkish state did not pay the salaries of Catholic priests and educators. And on the other hand, it also banned foreign financial aid. The absence of religious personnel is another issue. They were scarce in number and they were coming from abroad. As the case of, in this case, we are talking about French nuns. This is also a problem caused by the Turkish law, which bans the training of non-Muslim religious personnel in Turkey. The low number of students worsens the situation, of course, because it decreases the income actually of the schools and brings them to the brink of disappearance. And on the other hand, low participation in Catholic schools means also decreased social role for the Catholic Church, which is decried by many letters. The Catholic Church, of course, did not have the right to establish youth associations, yet a letter addressed to the General Consul of Spain in 1948 shows that there were actually many such associations, clandestine associations, and the letter underlines that their existence should not be disclosed to the public because they risk closure. In the other letters I found, which are these associations actually. We have youth work organized by the Franciscan, Jesuit and Lazarist orders for young males, and by the Sisters of Charity, Sisters of Notre Dame de Sion, St. Anthony of Padua Church, and the Cathedral of the Holy Spirit for young girls. Due to the traumatic memory of the Sèvres Treaty, the members of the Catholic community and also other non-Muslims were actually regarded with distrust and suspicions by the Turkish state, being seen many times as agents of foreign powers conspiring against the state. Many members actually were sent into exile for political reasons, and they were discriminated against because of their national or ethnic belonging, as the case of the German citizens who had been expelled after the Second World War from Turkey. Also, the Turkish understanding of secularism was a problem because many members were sent into exile because their views and activities did not comply with Turkish secularism, as the case of the Lazarist lay brother as George Joseph. The Turkish Penal Code of 1926 also makes the situation worse because it punishes religious abuse, including, of course, the criticizing of the government and incitement of disobedience against the Turkish state. Another letter, this is a later letter from 1973, shows the level of violence the members of the community, especially the clergy and the Catholic institutions, were exposed to. We talk about physical violence too and robbery. And what is more concerning is the fact that this act of violence often obtained the approval of public opinion. And the mass media seized every opportunity to denigrate the community. But not only, of course, the clergy and Catholic institutions were discriminated against, ordinary Roman Catholic citizens were also discriminated since religion continued to be displayed on identity cards. Today is an option, you can have religion on identity cards or not. Already the paragraph 88 of the constitutions from 1924 states that the people of Turkey, regardless of religion and race, are Turks as regards citizenship. Thus, non-Muslims were actually excluded from the Turkish nation. They were seen as Turks by citizenship, Kanun Türk'ü, Turks by law, and not members of the nation. Thus, they were discriminated against, and they were targeted by many discriminatory laws, like the Law on Civil Servants from 1925, according to which only ethnic Turks could be public employees. We have also the law on the method of practice of the medical professions and its disciplines, which also states that only Muslims could be doctors. Of course, non-Muslims were banned from the army too, and they were targeted by discriminative economic measures like the capital tax, which enabled 10 times higher taxes for non-Muslims than for Muslims. Of course, in this context, conversion to Islam was seen as a solution to all these issues, as a way to employment and to escape higher taxes. There are actually a lot of letters which underline this situation, because many members of the community were actually excommunicated from the Catholic Church because they became Muslims for enjoying all the privileges Muslims, Turkish citizens had. However, the letters show that many of these converts actually wanted to maintain their original religion, but in secret. So the emergence of the so-called secret Christians in Turkey. And another interesting issue which appears in the letters is the fact that many times the documentation for obtaining Turkish citizenship included also religious clauses, although officially there was no such requirement. Of course, all these unfair laws and adverse conditions lead to a gradual decline of the community, which is also shown by the Baptist memorial records from the main churches of Roman Catholic churches of Istanbul. So we have an overall decrease in Baptists, especially in the years of the First World War. However, after the war, there's a slight increase when young people return from the front, and also with the signing of the Lausanne Treaty. And the number of Baptists actually remains more or less constant during the first years. The situation is disrupted, of course, by the Second World War and by the anti-Christian events of 1955, and also by the so-called post-Kemalism, which allowed for a stronger presence of Islam in the public space. So, because all of these issues, the members of the community has chose to leave the country. And as concluding remarks, we have seen that the unfair laws and this uncertain legal status affected not only the social and economic life of the community, but also their religious organization and religious freedom also, and religious belonging given in the end, and led to a decline of what was once called a Levantine community of Turkey. Thank you very much for your attention.
Iulia, I have to thank you and Giordano publicly because you solved one of the most persistent enigmas of my own research, like having dealt with the legal status of the Greek Orthodox minority of Istanbul and to a certain extent with the Armenians and Jews. I always wonder what happened with the non-Muslims who were not recognized as official minorities. I could not hope for a more detailed answer. And it seems like they shared the fate of the other non-Muslims of Turkey, so thank you for this. Now we move to questions. Yes, Ahmed?
Actually, corrections, because as to the citizenship law and the law of 1928 on the appliance of some certain professions in Turkey, I think there's a confusion in that. It says, particularly that law, some certain professions like the medicine or lawyers cannot be applied by non-Turkish citizens. So it doesn't say by the non-Muslims.
Just foreign citizens.
Yeah, if you go to Istanbul, or I don't know if you ever been to Istanbul, you will be seeing so many Jews and the Armenian citizens of Turkey are applying this profession still, and they have offices, particularly around Beyoğlu or some other areas of Istanbul. So there might be confusion on that. And secondly, as to certiorari, I think more than certiorari, withdrawal from the Balkans, which ended with the laws of the Balkan Wars, created more trauma on the Turkish society which was utilized by the Kemalist states to construct a Turkish nation state. Because, as you said, Serbs treaty was only 3 years, very short-lived, but the laws of Balkans in 40 years created bigger impacts and trauma on Turkish society. Also on the intellectuals and the founding fathers of the Republic who had roots from the Balkans.
Would you like to respond to that?
Yes. Thank you for your comments. Well, I'm not sure. I mean, yes, today non-Muslims can be doctors, and the situation is definitely diverse now. But do you have this kind of examples from the early Republican period? Because these are the information I found while.
In my undergraduate years, I was taught by the professor on a highlight who wrote the citizenship law of Turkey. So, I think that might be a conflict.
If I may, Karim, what the law says is, I think you're right. It says that it refers to foreign citizens. So, members of minorities, or even if they weren't members of minorities, holding a foreign citizenship, it's the foreign citizenship laws. And this is why you see, for example, in the case of the Greek Orthodox minority of Istanbul, the ones who have a Turkish citizenship benefit financially due to the fact that the Greek Orthodox who have the Greek citizenship cannot exercise specific professions. So in a sense, it works, in some cases it works better for some members of the minority who hold the Turkish citizenship rather than the Greek citizenship or any other foreign citizenship. I think you're right on that point. Yes.
Thank you. There was a name on one of your slides, George Marovich. He was a priest at the Catholic Church in Istanbul, and he had a brother, Antoine Marovich. They were both Levantines. They studied priesthood in Istanbul at the St. Louis, Seminary. However, yes, we didn't have, I'm a Roman Catholic from Istanbul. You said that there weren't institutions that were preparing clergy. It's partially true, but you had seminaries for young people, and then they were sent to Rome or Paris to study. So one of them studied in Paris at La Catholique de Paris, and the other one at the Gregorian, because they were like institutions. So we had, at that time, seminaries for local clergy, Levantines, that today we don't have, because you showed the numbers, we are decreasing as Roman Catholics, but we had institutions. And he was right, don't forget that you had member of parliaments, even from the nationalist party in Turkey, Armenians and Greeks, right? So we Catholics, we were a bit discriminated because people have chosen to remain with their foreign citizenship. I'm a Turkish citizen today, so I don't know, maybe for Ronaldo Marmara I'm not a Levantine anymore. Who cares? And so, if you want, we can talk afterwards. Because I'm the nephew of George Marovich, I have an archive about like all the stuff.
You want to say something? Okay. Gentleman on the right.
Regarding the various practices during the Republican era, 1920s, 30s, etc. Okay, the following should be known. There is a great deal of evasion about this and things like that. They were forming a Turkish national state, and all sorts of say illegalities, etc. occurred. The best example would be the following: the Lausanne Treaty, which is the basis of the Turkish Republic, okay, has a clause which says that the two islands. In Greek, Imros and Eleros, and in Turkish, Gökçeada and Bozcaada, that those two islands would be self-governing. That is, they would have their own police force and their own laws and their own schools, etc. Okay? So 4 years after the Lausanne Treaty was signed, they started not to apply those. I mean, that is, they forbade teaching of Greek, and then, of course, no local gendarme, etc., etc. Okay? And then they set up a prison there, open prison there, so that the local population would be harassed and so on and so forth. Okay? So those are the public in Turkey does not want to remember such things. Okay? And our colleague seems not to know this stuff. Okay? But it is certainly true that these days there are all sorts of, say, Armenians, etc., or Jews, or whatever, okay, who are doctors, and so on and so forth. But during the 20s and the 30s, okay, the Kemalist Republic performed, that is, did not abide by its own international agreements. So this is it.
If I may add, regarding the doctors, I don't know about Istanbul, but in Izmir, for sure, we had Greek doctors. Now, they were not Orthodox Greek, they were Catholic Greeks. Maybe this is a case. We had Italian doctors. Count Liberti was an Italian doctor, for instance. So, that statement, I think, unless it refers to the first decade or maybe less of the Turkish Republic, is not, needs really revising, in my opinion. That's all I have to say.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you for the question. Well, I can say, so it's about the capital tax. This does not apply to foreigners, but to non-Muslim, I believe.
This is true.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So,
no, you're right.
as opposed to small trades not being able to be practiced by foreigners, but by non-Muslim Turks, that was feasible, but not in the capital tax.
You're absolutely right.
So it's contradicting, it's somebody not doing two different things, contradicting each other, which is something perennial.
Anyone else? Right, so big round of applause.